It wasn't?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah,
Not
there's a
seeing
movie
it?
about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he stole that too, and that's why he had to settle. Yeah, Mark Zuckerberg things.
You want to go fight?
No, not really. I don't want him to delete all the pictures I have on Facebook. I really don't have a lot. I don't. My wife is paranoid about like putting people's like art pictures on there because people do stupid things with them. You know they do. Okay, so excuse me. 9.1, the square root property and completing the square. So two things that you should have already done. If you don't know how to do them, then that's okay because I will school you on that. The first thing that was on there though was a review. You guys have this down all okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is just a quick reminder. Quadratic equations, this is written in standard form. Starts with a ax squared plus bx plus c. If there were more parts to this, then of course it wouldn't be quadratic, it'd be a quartic and of course higher degrees, but they're all in standard form. They all start with the highest degree down to the lowest degree until finally you get to your constant, which is technically x to the 0 power. So there's that from the quadratic. Now, that problem I just gave you was actually a review of the zero factor property, which we already did. We have done. If you do have issues with those, please see me for tutoring. Let me say that again. Please see me for some tutoring. I will school you and you will learn how to do it and you'll be fine with that, okay? Here's simply what the zero factor property says. And think about it, it just makes sense. Let's say I had two numbers. Okay, we'll call those A and B. And it turns out that when I multiply those two, the product is 0. Based off of that, we can make some induction, right? What can we say about A or B? One of the two is 0, right? Or maybe both. Or both. But one of the two definitely has to be 0. So A could be 0, or it could be that B was 0, or maybe they were both 0. But that's the idea of the zero factor property. One of those two has to be 0 if that equation is true. Okay? Does that make sense? Cool. So let's do that. So when we use the zero factor property to solve this, well, we're actually finding, of course, they are zeros, but later on we start graphing more of these things. They're also called the x-intercepts. Okay? Same idea. So I'm going to start by doing what Brittany did, which was to move the 1 over, right? So you have 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 is equal to 0. And it's plus 1 because it was on the left side as a negative, moves over to the right side, becomes a, sorry, my right. It was on your right side, moved it over to the left side. I have to remember my whole hand thing. So we have this. Now it's just a matter of doing some factoring to try to figure out what it is. Because what I want to do is get two factors, something times something. So we take that approach, right? Now, good thing for us, these two numbers are prime. So 2x and x, and the only way to get 1 is 1 and 1, right? So let's see here. They're both going to have to be negative in order for that to work. Correct? So look at the first two. 2x times x is 2x squared. Outside is negative 2x minus another x gives me negative 3x, and the negative 1 times negative 1 is definitely positive 1. So there's my two factors. So again, two numbers, right? Something and something else. So the question is, what's the value of x if this is true? Well, in order for that to be true, that means that either this number has to be 0 or the other number has to be 0. So what we can do is we take 2x minus 1 and ask the question, when does 2x minus 1 equal 0? Well, that happens when x is 1/2. Correct? And then we ask the other question, when would x minus 1 equal 0? Well, that happens when x has a value of 1. That means that in this, excuse me, in this quadratic equation, x has to have the value of 1/2 or 1. Yeah?
So what's the opposite of what we did the last time?
What did we do the last time?
Where you find what it equals?
Yeah, we're not talking about domain. We're asking what x actually is. Okay? Not all the different options of it. But it's kind of the same idea, but in this case, we can actually find some specific ones. But because there's no, it's not a fraction, Do I have to worry about having 0 in the denominator? No, so I don't have to worry about domain as much. Technically, here I can plug whatever number I want in there and get something else out of there. Okay, except for potatoes. I can't put potatoes in there. David? You're still thinking about the factoring idea? Here's the way I do it, okay? So, you remember the whole FOIL bit, right? But here's what I actually do, is FO plus I, L. Makes it a little bit faster. So when I'm looking at the first two, those two need to give me the 2x squared. To get the middle part, look at this. How much is this product? Negative 2, and this is negative 1. Combine them. Negative 2 minus 1, negative 3. Okay? That was not weird at all. Any other questions? Did that make sense for you? Or are you still wondering? What part is messing with you? The factoring part, or? Can you factor differently? Shh. Go ahead. Hey, guy, I can't hear this.
The what times what equals 2 and the what plus what equals negative 3. That's too much
That's the way you're doing it. He's just saying it. Because you know how you always tell us what two numbers will add to this and what two numbers will equal.
Well, technically, it's what two numbers. If there's nothing here, it's two numbers that multiply to this and add up to that.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about. Can you use the same way for this problem?
No, you cannot. Okay, that only works if there's no a value. Well, technically, the a value is 1, but we say there's no a value. That you can use that for that one, but here we do have something there, don't we? It's a 2, and we have to make sure that when we do distribute it out, we get back the original problem. Okay, so I can show you some stuff on that at tutoring. Monday to Thursdays, 3:15 to 4:15. Mountain time. Cool. Other questions on this? All right, moving on. Okay, learn the square root property. I don't think you need to learn the square root property. You've already seen the square root property. You already know what the square root property is. So here's kind of the deal. If I said that x squared is equal to 4, what is the value of x? 2. Nice enough, Callie? Exactly. So whenever, so the answer is that x can be a 2 or a negative 2, right? So it kind of brings us back to this square root property. Whenever we take the square root of a square, like in this case, x is squared, we take the square root of that, we have to account for both possibilities, the positive and the negative version. So we actually write our solution as plus minus 2, which means x can be the positive 2 or it can be the negative 2. You guys remember that? I do now, right? That's all it's saying. That's all that this is saying. So please don't let it confuse you when I show you the next slide, because that is exactly what it is saying. So if x and k are complex numbers and x squared is equal to k, then k is equal to the square root of k, or x is equal to the negative square root of k. If that confuses you, don't write it down. Just saying. Does everyone understand why it's plus or minus? Someone not? Alberto? My heart? You okay over there? My reason for being? Alright, so if I wanted to solve this, m squared, yeah.
did you say it like that?
Because you were looking at me like,
No, but the way she sounded it out. I was like,
Now who's making fun of who? The people way people talk.
she's doing that, not me.
What are you doing? What's she doing?
Nothing.
I'm so.
She said something to me, and the way she sounded it out was funny because she was like sounding every letter out.
Yeah, sure. Because you were
She
looking at me like,
Because you were like, I heard you, but I was sitting there staring at
You're
you.
like, what? What?
And then you're like, at the end, you worded it all out. I
We're a
was
TV
like,
show right now. It'd be like,
Okay, we got it?
what?
Moving on. So, thank you. I want to solve this for m. So m squared is equal to 64. Start off by taking the square root of both sides, since that is the opposite of squaring something. That means that x can have a value of positive or negative 8.
this is getting started, right?
Duh.
It's easy now.
I said duh.
Why is it equal to square root of 64?
Plus or minus the square root of 64. What are you talking about?
Square root of m squared.
I did that.
So we can write our answer like that.
But the square
No,
root-
here, that's what I did right there. I took the square root of both sides.
Seriously. He's like staring at me.
He's like, I can't even do it.
You look really serious. Both sides. Okay, now that's fake. You can just tell that that's fake. Like, ew. Who's ew? He's twitching his eye.
Next question. 3x squared minus 54 is equal to 0. Oh, just as bad as the. 3x squared is equal to positive 54. Divide both sides by 3. That means that x squared is equal to.
Just kidding.
Is it 18? Yeah. 18? Really? No doubt. Take the square root of both sides. That means that x is equal to. X is equal to positive or negative. What is that? 3 radical 2? Okay. Go ahead, David. I was waiting for it. Because I'm a boss. I'm just kidding. Here. So, 18, you're going to have to break it down in prime factorization. That's 2 times 9, right?
Yeah.
And then that becomes 3 times 3. So, every 2, what's the square root of 9? 3. And what's left behind? 2. Math.
I usually always
Woo! That's awesome. Yeah? Love it. No, he learned something. That's awesome. That makes me happy.
I'm so confused.
That's why I do this. To see the look on your face when you learn that. I live for this moment. Alright, cool. Bop, 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 bop.
Only had 10 minutes left.
Moving on.
Oh my God.
Here we go. Sample 2.
Can you go back?
Yeah, sure.
You just moved too fast.
To here?
I'm sure teacher did that.
What? Do what? I'll do it. No, I won't. Depends. What is it?
Start class like 5 minutes before the bell rings.
Stop class 5 minutes before the bell rings?
Start class.
5 minutes before?
Yeah.
No, that's not nice.
Why?
Before class starts?
I don't even get here.
So we got into Douglas's class yesterday for third hour at 10:15, and she didn't start class until like 11:05, 11:50.
Oh, so then it's after.
That's what we said. So we only had 10 minutes left of class and she started. What? All she does is sit on her computer anyways. And we don't start class until like.
That's how my Spanish class
classes. He took 30 minutes to do 30 minutes.
We can do that?
30 minutes.
Well, I mean, she does it.
Like, yeah, you should do that. That's how I feel during my my third and fourth period.
Some
My
teachers,
computer science.
some teachers just don't care.
I care. It's just my kids are kind of lazy.
Wait, what classes?
Computer science.
Oh, it was like us? No. It was like computer.
Like right now, they're doing a research paper. I hope
They're not doing that.
it's part of their AP test. That's on them if they don't.
Not one single kid in our class is doing anything.
No, that's not true.
Okay, maybe over here where
Yeah,
there's a
over
group of two
your
or
click
three
over there.
kids.
Yeah, your click. I don't know. I'm afraid for them. It is what it is.
Did they get their work done though? No. How do they pass?
Well, I don't have a like a limit. You know what I mean? So if it's late, it doesn't matter to me if you do it like
Oh yeah.
a month later. So I'll still take it as long as you do it.
I would.
So
I'd be like, no.
you know, I want
No,
to.
our English teacher, if you turn it in like 30 seconds late, like 10 seconds late, like you're just walking up and you don't give it to
Let me show you
her,
something real quick.
then she like throws a fit.
Let me show you something real quick. That.
I know that, but I'm saying
Not English. I'm not gonna do that. Not cool.
it's a little weird. I think you need to do like, that's how I feel about her.
I can't do English. I can't even speak English yet.
That's like mythology.
Chill on me.
That's what I should have done.
Alright, so next problem says, excuse me. Expert smartsman can hold a silver dollar at a forehead level. Wow.
What is this?
Welcome back. Here's some English for you.
Oh God.
I'm done with this English.
An expert marksman can hold a silver dollar at a forehead level, drop it, draw his gun, and shoot the coin as it passes his waist.
That's it, bro?
Huh?
That's it?
Interesting, that's one of the things you can do. I'm sure you can probably do more. But that's actually pretty fast.
I wasn't impressed.
I'm beyond impressed. That's, oh, I see. Never mind. If the coin falls about 4 feet, use the formula D equals 16t squared to find the time that elapses between the dropping of a coin and the shot. Okay? So, D, what do you think D stands for? Distance. So distance equals 16t squared. If it drops from 4 feet, the question is how much time squared has elapsed. Divide both sides by 16 in this case, which means you've got, what does that simplify to? A quarter? So t squared is equal to a quarter. Take the square root of both sides. That means that time is equal to plus or minus 1/2. Now, this will happen sometimes. You get two solutions, and you want to write both of them down. Oh, t is equal to plus or minus 1/2. However, when you... How do I say this?
What?
When you think about it, some brain activity up here, and you say, how much time has passed? Would you really say, oh, a negative ½ second has passed by?
Yes.
No. Okay? That's a no.
I said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I heard it from Jay. I'm sorry. You're good at delaying
Blaming me
voice.
for holding?
My bad. I swear to God, I thought it was you. So, no, you cannot say a negative second passed by. So you would discard that option and say, oh, it was only ½ a second. Which is pretty fast. I can't even reach out to get my cup in ½ a second.
Let's see.
I just did. It took about a second.
I think
I used to have faster reflex. Now I'm just lazy. I'm like, I know.
I've never
Take your time, do it right. Seriously, like when you're young, you're obsessed with speed, right? You do things like now, like
You got old? Is that what you're trying to say?
no, I had children.
Oh.
Cause like even when I was married, like I would still drive fast, and my wife would be like, "Dude, what are you like? You trying to get us killed?" But then I had my little girl, and like I just got like
You know
light
what's
as
funny?
split now.
My dad doesn't care.
I'm
No,
sorry, but I
he
do.
like run like he rides people butts, and then I'm just like, okay, what if they break and you're like too late and we end up rear-ending someone? And if someone pulls out in front of him, he'll like get on their butt on purpose and ride them. And
Those
I'm
kids
like,
cost me too much to have them like not be with me anymore.
No, we're like,
Children are expensive, man.
no, we're like sitting there in the car and we're just like, what is wrong with you? Like you're gonna kill us. Like he's scary.
Well, maybe he's trying to like entertain you.
No.
Okay.
waiting for a ticket, isn't it? I think they call that aggressive driving.
I'm pretty sure they put speed bumps in my old neighborhood because
It's so weak over that.
That's funny. Alright, next objective. Objective 3 says we're going to solve quadratic equations in the form of ax plus b quantity squared is equal to c by using the square root property.
What is this?
Only in his path, huh? The way you.
No, my dad drives like a red.
My mom said just pick her on the freeway yesterday. It's not supposed to.
No.
Everybody got one of these?
What happened?
Let's just say my car is now today making some questionable noises and I probably.
Everybody needs to get up right now real quick and just stretch. Because y'all like sleeping right now.
What's sleep? I'm just joking. I went to bed at like 9.
No. Just get up and stretch. Just like,
My mom's like, "Papa,
Kit.
where's the water?"
Kit,
Please shut
stretch.
Yeah, we're still water cool, so we just
Bring one. Bring one. I'll be more than happy to put it in here. Here we go.
Can someone please explain to me why I don't cry? But I don't even. It's my favorite. I feel we should not wear that.
I hate Cole's Cash. I hate Cole's Cash.
Why?
Because I don't like to go shop. My wife loves shopping.
I hate shopping.
And she, you go to Kohl's, you get this Kohl's Cash, right? So now you have to go back to spend it. So you go back to spend it, and you're like, oh, this is nice, and this is nice. So you buy these things to use up your Kohl's Cash, which earns you more Kohl's Cash. It's a vicious cycle.
It's
I
amazing.
hate
It's a
it.
business play though, am I right?
Huh?
It's one hell of a business play.
Hey, you know what? Yeah. That's actually, you know what? I have to admit that I use that in my favor. When it was Black Friday, you know how they were doing like $15 or something? And I was like, babe, if we buy an Xbox One, this is how much Kohl's Cash you'll get.
Oh my.
So when you think about it, it's really not costing me $300. It's costing me $200 for an Xbox One. Guess who got an Xbox One?
I'm so dead.
Oh yeah. I was disappointed though. I got Lego. What is it? The Lego Lego movie. I know. Hey, you know what? I played it. I ain't gonna let it go to waste. Here we go. So here's the first step. As you solve this, you're taking the square root of both sides, which is going to leave you with 3x plus 1 is equal to square root of 2. And of course, 3x plus 1 is equal to the negative square root of 2. And at that point, you just need to solve both equations the way you normally would. Bop, 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 bop.
What? Stop right there.
And I think you guys should have seen this when you guys were working with the quadratic equation. Right? You saw a lot of things like this. Same idea, same thing. You good? Okay, bud? That's kind of solid.
Well, it's still a while to figure it out.
I think I am. Te vengo hacia los ojos. I'm here embodying. My mind is sleeping. My mind is hibernating.
You didn't bring up Kohl's.
That's like a tax.
More than tax.
She's not.
What? And then when I paid it,
Any questions on this?
Wait, no.
I'm not. I was just asking those questions while I was still there.
Well, gosh, we gotta move it.
Our tax on pizza
My
is
bad.
like $5. So like a pizza's like $21. I drove without my glasses last night, and that was a really bad decision. But I just
You put mine on your future.
that's how I'm getting it.
Hey, watch out!
my thought is really like whenever you walk, there's indentation. Yeah, it's like, and I'm like, I have like trying to walk.
What's up, Jennifer?
What did you do to get out by this?
You got this?
They're better than my
Well, all I did was subtract one to both sides.
Hey, what is this?
Probably.
Magnifying
And then
glass?
finally,
That's pretty
divide by 3.
Okay, yours over with.
So there it is. Same thing on that side.
I'm very adamant about having
Every step? Okay.
Because that's how my other teacher was. She's like, you have to have every single
Let me know if you need that, because I skip a lot of steps. Right, guy? I do a lot of step skipping and shortcuts. And,
Yeah, he does.
you don't like that? Oh.
I don't.
Then let me know.
If it's like common sense.
Yeah, if it's common sense, then that's different. But if it's like stuff like, I'm like,
Yeah, it's probably associated with that. Step skills.
What are you talking about?
I'm just making this up as we go. Jeez, that would actually hurt.
All right, here we go. Okay, this is the fun part.
there's fun. No, I'm joking.
Solving quadratic equations by completing the square. Solving quadratic equations by completing the square. If you don't know already how to complete the square, if you don't know already how to complete the square, then you're going to have to come see me. Okay? Because that's not something I can do like in 5 minutes to teach you. It takes a little bit. Okay?
Hey, is it time to go?
No, it's 10 till 9.
Oh.
Yeah, so, alright, cool. So here we're going to complete the square and we're going to solve this bad boy, okay? I'm going to start by kicking the 10 over to the other side. That gives me x squared minus 2x is equal to 10. Okay? You could probably pick it up from what I'm doing. But if you have trouble with it, then you're going to have to come after school, okay? Not during my lunch, though. Got to keep it bigger.
What if I bring your lunch?
Everyone okay with the first step I did here? Okay? Here's the objective. I want this left side to become a perfect square. I want to rewrite it as a perfect square. Okay.
Huh?
Okay.
Chloe, you okay? Don't do that. You're going to love this. I'm going to explain this to you the easiest way you've ever seen it. Because I'm sure you've seen it before, right? And you wanted to rip your hair out? Aha, don't say that. Because it's great. This
I
is...
hate this. I hate math.
Is it x minus 1?
Can we Don't listen to them. Go.
So do you guys remember how the whole FOIL process works, right? When we have a perfect square?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Thank you. So
Come back now. At least you're talking about
I know I wasn't trying to listen on that too.
Right.
I don't know what you said. You said square root of 0 is...
1.
It used to be, so you're kind of right. They changed it because the number system was broken after that.
You can just change
So what's
it.
changing math?
So all them tests scores were wrong.
It's got A's on the test.
X goes here. Thank you. So it's going to be the square root of x squared, which is that, okay? And automatically you just go x. That easy. Now the number that's going to go with that is going to be half of that negative 2. What is half of negative 2? Negative 1. Okay?
What's that?
Well, remember, it's squared, right? So here's the idea behind that. And I'm glad you kind of said this. So everyone understand what I just did right now?
Yeah.
Please, 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 please. If you listen to nothing else after this, that's fine. But listen to this. I've just created my square there, right? It's x minus 1 quantity squared. Question is where these numbers came from. Okay? Now, Brandon just said, where's the other x go? Well, I'm taking that times itself, right? Isn't that what the square means? Which is x minus 1, right? So here's what happens. If I follow this out, that's x times x gives me x squared, correct? Mm-hmm. Now, x times negative 1 is negative 1x, and then that's also negative 1x, which makes negative 2x, right? Now here's the problem with me doing this x minus 1 quantity squared, is now I have to finish that, don't I? What is negative 1 times negative 1? Positive 1, right? Is there a positive 1 up there? It wasn't there, but I need it. Okay? Now, completing the square, here's the idea. I need that 1, I've created it, but I need to complete it. I need to balance this whole thing. So if I add 1 to the left side, what do I need to do to the right side?
Add 1.
That was the hardest thing ever right there. That was it. Okay, that was it. Because all I have to do now, can I get rid of this other stuff I have?
Hold on, go ahead.
Okay, this is all going away now. So now this is really all of this. Whoops. Ah! I shouldn't have touched it. Okay, so this is all of this now. And that equals 11. Now you see how we're back at what we did in the last problem? Take the square root of both sides. So I've got x minus 1 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 11. And then I can go ahead and solve that whole thing. Okay? So what I would have is x is equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 11. And I'm done. That's your question, boss?
Stop. Doing what?
Okay, I'm sorry. I took a shortcut. At this point, I meant to do that. At this point, that's where you would separate them. X minus 1 is equal to positive square root of 11, or x minus 1 is equal to negative square root of 11. Right? And then you would just go plus 1 to both of those. What I did was a combination answer. 1 plus square root of 11, 1 minus square root of 11. So here, x is equal to 1 plus the square root of 11. X is equal to 1 minus the square root of 11.
Those are the answers.
Those are the answers. Those are actually the accurate answers, the exact answers. Many times we'll try to approximate the square root of 11 by converting it into a decimal. Yes! Yeah?
So x minus 1 equals positive or negative square root of 11.
Correct.
That's correct.
Here? In the arrow? Yeah. X minus 1 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 11. Because remember, I took the square root of something squared above. And at that point, I just broke it up into 2 and then solved each one individually. David? There's a question on the floor. Thank you.
Where is it?
Because on this step, remember, we're trying to solve it for x, right? We want to know what the value of x is. Do I know what the value of x is at this point? No, it's x minus 1, right? So if I go plus 1, that makes this go away, right? And I'm going to get x is equal to 1 plus the square root of 11. All I did really was move this over to that side. This step? Because it wasn't there. I needed this, and that's, like I said, that is completing the square. So that's not something I can teach you in 2-3 minutes. You're going to have to come see me after school, okay? But you know what? You give me 5 minutes after school, I bet you'll have it down. Okay? All right.
I do like math.
I do it like every year.
Can I just porridge for 6 hours? I'm ready for some math.
You what?
Can I just porridge for 6 hours?
Yeah, sure. You're always welcome to come into my other classes. Ba, 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 ba. Here's the process for completing the square, people. What is that? Yeah, it's not nice. I don't like this too much, but here. Want to see it again? David. One more time. This one's not going to be so nice as the last one. Yeah. So 9/4. Don't you have to work deep, Peyton?
Baby.
Don't you have somewhere to be?
I'll leave it at 9:05.
Oh, okay.
I want to tell this.
Wait, but did you write it?
Yes, and everyone hated you for it.
That's exactly what it is. I like fractions this way better. I don't know about the decimals one. Fractions is a spread.
Then you still get
Because the high is already included when you square the last part. When you take the 3 halves times the 3 halves.
She had to make up for the
I read it. I was like, she's a David.
Yeah, so when I rewrite it, it'll be x plus 3 halves upon the square is equal to what is the 9 halves or 9 quarters.
They showed me on the house
Here we go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. X squared plus 3x. I'm going to leave a space here, David, because that's where I'm going to complete the square. That is equal to 1. Okay? I have it? Because, I don't know, it's like... Because I'm being technical. I'm completing the square. I just felt right, okay? So I want to write it as a perfect square. It goes like this. X goes there, and then I'm going to put in the other position half of that 3. And I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to write it the lazy way. Half of 3. Yeah.
more like the smart way.
Touche. I'm going to write it the smart way. Now, here's the problem, David. I've broken the math right now. I've broken it. And let me tell you why. If I were to expand this red binomial here, this one, I would get x squared plus 3x plus 9/4. If I were to multiply it out. Okay? So I would get that equals 1. Now, compare this, David. Look at what I wrote in black to what is up there originally. What is different? 9/4. Okay? So I've broken the math. I need to fix it. I need to complete the square. So what I'm going to add up here is that 9/4 to fix it. And like in the last problem, that's where the 1 came from. In this case, it's not a 1, it's 9/4, isn't it? Now here's the question. I just did it to the left side. I also need to do it on the right side, right? Because that balances everything. So plus 9/4. Okay?
Is that it?
No. That's only the completing the square part. So now I need to combine those. What does this equal? This equals 13/4. That equals 13/4. Monday? Did I do that wrong? I just took 1 and made it 4/4. I took this, right? Okay. At this point, square root both sides. X plus 3/2 is equal to the square root of 13 over 2. Square root of 13/2. Plus or minus. Correct? Now I can... Does no one make sounds with the other part of your body that makes sound? I'm going to move that 3/2 over, and that's going to give me, I'll write it over here. X is equal to negative 3/2 plus or minus the square root of, oh, go, yeah, 13/2. Okay, I went from here to here. I just moved over the radical, sorry, not the radical, the 3 halves over to the other side. That's why it became a negative 3 halves. Now, if you want to break it up into 2 different solutions, you're more than welcome to. I see that they have the same denominator, so I'm just going to call this x is equal to negative 3 plus or minus square root of 13 all over 2. Again, if you want to make that 2 fractions, go for it.
2.
Bless you.
Bless you. What just happened? Sounds like a dolphin.
That's my dolphin call.
Scrap.
Thank you.
Shoot, box back.
He needs paper too. That for me?
No.
Oh.
Let's say bye.
I have to think about you.
What?
Same, he was like lucky person, so I was like, am I leaving?
She's already leaving. Questions here? David, did that help a little bit more? Good.
Wait, where did I go?
Guidance.
Says first.
I think it said guidance, right?
Yeah, I know.
I wasn't
Wait,
meaning to look at it, but I did. I'm sorry.
You're not supposed to look at it?
It's not messages and for me. I kind of feel like I'm eavesdropping on you.
it's like figure reads one.
No, it's not. It's a piece of paper that was handed to you.
Okay, Dad.
Homework will be ready in a few.
They'll be ready by 6.